and thanks for watching BSGcast. He's Matt, I'm Nat, and let's get started.
Okay, so escape velocity.
Woohoo! Would you say it was a great episode for character development?
You know what? The character development was great,
Story
but
arcs?
there have been some complaints about the action quotient.
However, guys, Racetrack's crash was epic.
Yeah, that was
the
huge.
explosions?
And the fact that she walked away from that was insane. That thing landed nose in after a barrel roll on fire.
Matt thought they should have died. However, I mean, like, all the pilots are on the fracking Demetrius.
Yeah, you know what? You can't wipe out, especially the school bus driver.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But, you know, either way, pretty exciting. That was a good effect. On to some really cool Alienware giveaways.
So we had some pretty sweet comments last week for Ties That Bind. So many to choose from.
This
you
was like a
guys
record week,
are
actually.
Amazing with that form. Roberta, we wanted to give you props for having to cook the roast before you can eat it.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Battlestar Galactica is all about very well-seasoned, slow roasting story
Exactly,
arcs.
exactly.
So you're absolutely right. We need to be patient, because if you just drop the Battlestar Galactica into the New Caprica atmosphere in every episode, who cares?
Who cares?
You need to slowly roast it. So, awesome.
Tootie, we also wanted to give you props for your hilarious top 10 lines from BSG, which is particularly
well-timed.
fitting, yes.
Because we just did our BSGcast top 10, which was starring you guys. Everyone who was at the
It cracks me up.
Oh,
and
it
Matt
was
did
great.
a fantastic editing job
Well,
with
thank
it.
you very much. I'm glad you enjoyed that. But you know what? Our Fan of the Week award has to go to JJ.
Huh.
Now, JJ, you
Yes.
win a t-shirt. You are now in the running
For a pair of Osmo 7 headphones.
killer headphones. And on top of that, our grand prize, that is a multi-$1,000 prize.
Really exciting kind of stuff, which
Yeah.
you can possibly check out on the Alienware website.
Yeah, if you hit up alienware.com, you'll see it. We won't tell you what it is, but it's there. So on top of that,
Oh, man.
JJ, the t-shirt's coming your way, but we had to thank you for coming up with a great theory months and months, years ago,
Oh, yeah,
possibly.
exactly. I mean, like, your post was essentially a rehash of a theory that you had a while ago, but
it was
it's a
solid.
good theory on the 12 Cylon models,
Yep.
the war, the final 5.
It was great.
Really
we
cool
really
stuff.
liked it, and we just thought, you know what? There's a good, solid, succinct post that really had something to say.
Congrats.
So Six and Tigh. This is very interesting because this is what
Yes.
Trisha was telling us about
And she was
back in her
alluding to
I&I.
it exactly in her I&I, and she's talking about this heavy choreography scene with Michael Hogan, and
Yeah, you gasped
I know,
out loud
because I
when
was
it
like, how
happened.
the hell did their storylines ever cross?
But
Now
yeah,
I know.
very cool. And it's neat because if you watch it all the way through, there's no point where it's clear that Six does or does not know that Tigh is a Cylon.
Exactly. I mean, when she says our minds are patterned after your minds, does she mean the 7 Cylons' minds patterned after you human beings, or our 7 Cylon minds patterned after you Final 5?
Yeah, it's a very interesting
You
question.
can read it either way throughout the whole episode, I find.
Yeah,
So,
and the funny thing is, when Baltar asked Six that question in Torn, oh, but if one of the other Final 5 walked past you, you'd recognize them, right?
6 says nothing.
So we don't know. We really don't know if she would know them to see them or not. I mean, Lucy Lawless's character clearly was surprised, so, you know, it's hard to say.
True.
Now, the cool thing about what's going on with Tigh is he seems to be projecting.
Yes,
Unconsciously, but yeah, he
sees
projected
what
Ellen.
he wants to see, which is kind of the whole thing with
That's
projection.
what projection supposedly does. It lets you see what you want to see. So that's really cool. And, you know, it's also really cool to see that the similarity in appearance between the tall blonde and the tall blonde kind of has a reason, you know, there's an explanation or at least some kind of use
Yes.
for the fact and an ability to bring back that actress, which is really cool. So let's move into 2 more Cylons.
So, Tyrell and Tori. We can clearly and obviously say that Tyrell is cracking up
Yeah.
pretty bad, while Tori is
Even more
comfortable than
comfortable.
ever. She is embracing that Cylon thing just
Big time.
big time.
Although there's something really cool. If you watch in, okay, you have to have paid attention to some of the stuff that Ronald D. Moore has said for this to really pay off. But in Galen's service for Callie, he says, the Lords of Kobol, as many and as varied as mortal men. It sounds a lot like how Ron described the Cylons. Now, he specifically said, you know, these 12 models represent humanity. And apparently so do the 12 Lords of Kobol. So I think there's more mesh of those 12 and 12, which is neat.
But going back to Tori, she clearly covered her tracks with the with Callie's death
Yeah,
as a suicide.
It's a suicide, and no one's even.
Yeah, exactly.
no one's asking any questions.
No one questions it.
But the real question is, how does anyone know she's dead? Because I mean, they spaced Jammer in Collaborators.
And no one noticed?
No one supposedly noticed. People just get spaced every now and again, and no one apparently watches these tubes because people get thrown out of them from time to time, and it's convenient that no one seems to notice. Although it was very interesting to see that Tori has now been eyewitnessed, confirmed by Lee, as a member of sort of the girly, groupie, sexy thing, as Roslin called it, and that cracked me up. She's now been made, she's been seen there.
Lee sat through service, and his reaction was actually quite interesting, where he turned away with disgust.
And how do you register that expression?
Exactly, we've been talking about that a lot too. Was that a look of, I'm disgusted because I agree with you, or I'm disgusted because what the hell have I done by allowing this to happen?
Hard to say,
Moral compass,
it goes back to Roslin. Goes back to Roslin. We've seen a very intelligent Baltar for 3 years now, and his storming of the temple was very uncharacteristic.
Very unlike Baltar. I was actually really surprised about that, and to be quite honest, I don't think I liked it that much.
But you know what? I like the fact that it's showing that Head 6 has an insane amount of influence over him now. He has completely
it's blind
bent
devotion
to
to
her.
her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And it's interesting because Nick on the boards mentioned that this is very similar to the story of Jesus and the money changers when he sort of stormed King Herod's. So I think we're seeing some similarities here that are good, but are kind of uncharacteristic for the character. But we're seeing
as we
this
said,
movement.
Actually, with 6 becoming a more powerful influence, she actually has a physical influence over him. Like physical influence that
she pulled him up by the arm.
See. I mean,
and lifted him up by the shoulders.
Man,
that was
hilarious.
But you have to consider how significant it is for every eyewitness there to see this.
He's being lifted by something invisible, something all-knowing, all-power, all-omnipotent.
Very interesting to see, and it'll be interesting to see if that comes up again, because a lot of people saw that, and that was crazy.
So next week we have The Road Less Traveled, which is getting us back into Kareth Race's world and the Demetrius arc.
Which is good, because we only had one silent shot
of
in this
her
episode.
Passed out and Anders being kind of creepy and
Although it was interesting what Baltar was saying, the idea of knowing yourself and loving yourself, and then you can find out what other people are. And we see Anders sort of staring at, and it's just kind of neat. It's kind of neat that he might be at that point where he's comfortable with who he is,
possibly.
At least comfortable enough for Kara's sake, because he's trying to figure out what she is.
Possibly, that's true. But we have the trinary star system, which
I'm convinced that trinary star system is those 3 base ships.
The painting that she's
absolutely those 3 base ships that got smoked in last week's episode. That is what Kareth Race will stumble upon.
Which is going back to the theory that Matt had last week.
And you know what? That is going to be very cool because we're going to get to see Leoben and Starbuck.
I am so excited to see Leoben next week. Holy crap!
Now the really important difference here is the last time she, I guess, fell in love with Leoben, it was head Leoben. It wasn't a physical Leoben.
No.
And now, a physical Leoben is boarding the ship. So it'll be interesting to see
And there's a scene where it looks like he's
relationship.
painting with her.
Yeah, so we'll see how raunchy that one gets. And in the trailer, we also got to see a few quick shots of the Galactica, so at least we know that we're going to be in that storyline a bit. And
with Chief, with a shaved head, holding what looks to be a gun
to his own head. Yeah.
Which is, I guess, him just...
Losing it.
Yeah.
Losing it. Absolutely.
Holy crap.
So next week looks intense on every possible level, and hopefully there will be more Baltar.
We can only hope, man.
We can only hope. So, keep hopping on the boards. We've got almost 100 comments already.
Which is stunning.
Which is
Thank you guys.
crazy. You guys are amazing. Yeah. So, let's see what we get next week, guys.
Bye.